So apparently, the CEO and president of Unity is stepping down. Now, he created a hell of a controversy, like what on earth is going on type of event, where I guess he tried to introduce a brand new type of monetization for the engine, like something that no one has ever tried. And it's a good thing that it got stopped, because if it wasn't, then many other companies would have tried something similar. So the idea of charging people for installing a product is bewildering for me. Like, I never thought that it's even possible to think of something like this. So basically, if you were a game developer using Unity as your engine, then if you made more than $200,000, and then people would install your game more than 200,000 times, every install after that would cost you money. And apparently, you have fraudulent installs. Like, what happens if someone pirates the game, or what happens if someone installs the game on many PCs? Like, just because someone installs the product doesn't actually mean that you're making any money, right? So you have the potential of having to pay, even though you're not making a buck in return. So the best example would be phone games. Like, now, phone games, some of them are free, and they make money off of microtransactions, so they can be downloaded millions of times. And the developer can make $200,000. And then if no one uses the microtransaction feature and just keeps downloading the game, the developer can actually be bankrupt. And then you also have, I guess now, the new concept of install bombing, where if a developer gets into any type of controversy, you can have gamers that just create a script to constantly install the game over and over. And again, it can be crippling for the developers. The worst problems that developers could face with the system is the unpredictability. Because at least when you use a competitor, like you would use Unreal or any other game engine, you know that, okay, well, it's a percentage of the income. So it can be like anywhere between 5-10%. So you kind of make the calculations in your mind, and it's not like playing Russian roulette. But in the case of Unity with their system, like, potentially you could have paid up to infinity. So as long as you made a game which sold more than $200,000 in the last year, and by the way, the sales also include Patreon, Subscribestar, any other products associated with the game. So as long as you manage to do that, then every single additional install over 200,000 install is going to cost you money. And again, there's no ceiling to it. Like, there was no cap. The outrage was immense. I understand that Unity wants to do this due to the fact that games like Genshin Impact and other games are using their engine, and they're incredibly profitable, and Unity is not making a buck, and they're upset that they're not getting the percentages. But you gotta think about the little guy as well. The little guy may not bring a big profit to Unity as a game engine, but a lot of little guys put together are the ones that have managed to get the engine to be as great as it is today. So punishing them or putting the fear of God into them is abysmal. Not to mention that people should be rewarded for being successful rather than being punished. So there were individuals that were actually showing the graphs and the statistics, and they were saying that if Unity does what they are trying to accomplish, their business becomes unsustainable. Like, even though, like, some people who are just having phone games and they didn't charge people for install, they had to pay something like 95% of their earnings to Unity. And also take into account that they would charge before everything else. So basically, if you have a game that's delivered on Steam, let's say on a PC, well, Steam takes a cut of 40%. And then you also have to pay your employees. You have to put some money on the side in order to figure out, like, if you're going to make a sequel. But what Unity wanted, it's like, no, like 100% of what you make. So, like, let's say you make $1 million, right? If you make $1 million revenue, then Steam takes 30% of that. Your publisher can take also 20% of that. You gotta pay your government. But no, Unity wanted, like, a big chunk of that $1 million. So, like, even before you pay to everyone, And as people made the calculations, it just caused businesses to be unsustainable. Like, it's not that this was an increase in cost. It was a massive liability. And on top of that, the whole thing where you gotta figure out a way to detect if people install the program or not. Like, how do they do that? Like, do they require people to be online only when installing a Unity game? Because if that's the case, like, how does it work with GOG? Because GOG, the way they try to market their video games is that you can just take the game and install it, right? You don't need an internet connection. It doesn't have any copy protection. It's just like, it works as it comes from the box. And if this is the case, like, if you need to be online in order to install it, like, a lot of these games may have been just booted from GOG. And I also wonder, like, how would they have enforced this? Like, what if a developer just, not necessarily, like, doesn't want to pay, but, like, can't afford to pay? Like, what do they do? Do they just have a kill switch for their game? And all of a sudden, people can't install it? And then you're going to get refunds on Steam. And while, Steam does allow refunds, they don't like it if the system is abused. And having games made with Unity could have become a massive liability. So as expected, Unity decides to backpedal, which is very healthy for the industry. Because, again, like, if Unity could have gotten away with this, you would expect that every other game engine would have done the same. And from the perspective of the user, it potentially means more spyware on your computer, like more online-only bullshit, more forced copyright protection bullshit that the developer may not want to have. So, like, the customer himself managed to dodge a bullet here. The only thing is that, okay, so John Riccitiello is stepping down as CEO. All right, well, after he sold most of his shares, after he did all of the harm to the company, he's now stepping down. Great. The harm that was done to the company is a loss of trust. Like, the very fact that people realize right now, oh, so the company can just, like, unilaterally change TOS on a whim. And, you can be forced to pay for stuff that you didn't even consent in the beginning, is very damaging for the reputation of Unity. I know many developers that have decided to switch engines due to this. And again, it's not necessarily, like, about the payment, but, like, Unity can just decide, all right, well, no hate speech in video games on our platform. And they get to decide what hate speech is, right? So, like, all of a sudden, they can unilaterally decide, okay, well, this game, Genshin Impact, it's got problematic content. We want it off. No sexualization of minors. That's another one, right? So, like, what does that mean? Well, Genshin Impact, you show cleavage, you show booba. You're not allowed on our platform, right? Like things like that. People don't like that. Like, people, when they use a product like a game engine, they want to know, it's like, okay, well, tell me exactly what I am and I'm not allowed to do. And then you stop changing the rules during the middle of the fucking game. But Unity has broken that trust, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And as always, I will see you in the comments section. Take care.